What's up everybody, Caesar Madrazo here, and we are back with more Doki Doki Blue Skies. It's been a few days since I've released one of these episodes. If you follow my community tabs and you're on my Discord server, then you already know why. I won't go into any details here, but I will say that I'm going to try to make this episode a longer one, just to make up for the past few days. I'll probably go for about an hour, maybe a little longer even. So, let's just dive right in. We picked up at the end of the Halloween debacle. Not debacle, but Halloween shenanigans in the last episode, and it looks like now we're approaching Christmas time. So, let's see where the journey takes us today. Brr. It's gotten so cold. October was so warm. Why couldn't it stay that way? We are in November now, you know. But last year's November was so mild. It's so unfair. Other places get really cool winter things like penguins, reindeers, even Frosty the Snowman. Sayori, you know that Frosty the Snowman isn't real, right? Of course, silly. But what if you make an actual snowman and name him Frosty? Pretty sure that doesn't count. She waves my comment away, an indignant huff of air visible from her mouth. I just want it to snow. Seeing the gentle snowfall at night when you're tucked up and cozy inside with some hot chocolate, it's so peaceful. All of the untouched snow, and when it's quiet, you could probably spend Christmas with Yuri this year, you know. It sounds like you two share the same thoughts. Oh, well, it's obviously really fun to have snowball fights, build snowmen, make star angels, and missing your day or two off school. Well, in Korea, and I think in Japan as well, you actually only get one day off, and that one day would be... Well, technically you get two, if you count, like, New Year's as a Christmas holiday. Yeah, you get Christmas Day, and you get New Year's Day, but Christmas Eve, December 26th, in Korea, and I'm pretty sure in Japan, you're back at work or school. I guess since joining the literature club, I've started to appreciate nature a bit more. Although I still love summer. That much hasn't changed then. What? Oh no! What? She's fiddling around in her pockets, desperately looking for something. I left my gloves at home! And my hands get cold so easily. Having cold fingers is the worst. Well, or having wet socks on. Blow on them, Sayori. Huh? Blow on my hands? Yeah, it'll warm them up, trust me. She takes my advice, but judging by the look on her face, it's a futile effort. It helps a little, but they're still so cold. I just wish I had something proper to warm them up for me. Are they gonna hold hands? As she stands there pouting, an idea forms in my mind, one that'll benefit both of us. Give me your hands. Doing my best to ignore my beating heart, I take her hands in my own and start rubbing them. Huh? What are you doing? I roll my eyes, hoping she attributes my sudden stuttering to the cold and not the sudden nervousness this new situation brings. What does it look like I'm doing? It's a slow process, but slowly I can feel her hands warming up. Given how hot my whole body feels, it's no surprise. I'm half expecting there to be steam radiating off my fingers by this point. The silence in the air feels heavy, almost as if it was laced with some kind of tension. I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it, but the unfamiliarity of the sudden intimacy makes me a little uncomfortable. There, they should be much warmer now. I move to pull my hands away, but Sayori's grip doesn't loosen like I expect it to. Would you mind holding on for just a little bit longer? It's really sweet what you've done for me. I get cold super quickly, though. Sure. Although we'd have to get a move on, otherwise we'd be late. That's okay. And so we make our way to school, just like any other day where we've walked together. Except for one major difference, we're holding hands. I mean, friends can hold hands, right? Actually, in Asia, yeah. Friends hold hands all the time, and they even, like, lock arms. In Korea, or maybe not Japan, but in Korea, friends... Like, they casually and platonically do things that in America would be considered, like, things you only do with a romantic partner. Like, I've actually made friends with Korean girls here, and we'd be walking down the road, and suddenly they'd, like, wrap their arm around mine, or they'd, like, hold my hand or something like that, and I would just be like, what? What are you doing? And then there would be this, like, a moment of confusion, and then she would clarify, in Korea, friends do this. Like, it's nothing weird, just like, this is something that friends do. It's like, oh, really? Okay, that's different. It's not necessarily romantic or anything. In Japan, I think it's very different. I think this would very much be considered romantic, but not necessarily in Korea. But it feels so good. Just like it belongs. Sayori's fingers are absent-mindedly stroking the back of my hand, and I have to fight the urge to return the favor. Well, that, if you, there's an old YouTube channel called Simple Pickup. I think they pointed out in one of their videos a long time ago that, if you're holding hands, then one thing to, like, really, emphasize the mood is to, yeah, just, like, stroke the back of the person's hand with your thumb, and that's sort of, like, you know, the hand-holding itself, whatever vibe that gives off, it, like, just rubbing the back of their hand with your thumb, it's subtle, but it makes the mood a whole lot stronger. So, pro tip, for those of you that are trying to flirt with somebody very subtly. Nah, to hell with it. Her hands feel so warm and soft against mine, there's no way I'm letting this opportunity pass up. She laughs softly as my fingers trace a gentle circle around the back of her hands. Yep, that's how you do it. She breaks the silence, but only slightly, as her voice is barely audible over the howling wind and my own hammering chest. You're pretty quiet, Caesar. Sorry. I just, it's okay. You don't have to say sorry. This has been really nice, hasn't it? It has. My mind is screaming at me to say more, to say something romantic and cheesy. I feel so content and warm, and most importantly, safe? Okay, Sayori makes you feel safe and protected. I feel like, I feel like traditionally speaking, it would be the other way around. Not that, not to, like, define gender roles or anything like that, but, you know, in these kind of romance games, they typically stick to gender roles, so it's just kind of surprising that, they would have the male player be the one who feels, like, safe and protected in this kind of, situation. With the girl I grew up with, the girl I've shared so many happy memories with, the girl who provides a bundle of sunshine in my life. Your hands feel really nice. Yours feel really... Don't mess this up, Caesar. Ditto. Well, I wouldn't mind warming your hands up again. You know, if they ever get, cold. That was the lamest response I could have given her. Sayori thinks otherwise, though, as she bursts into laughter. I feel my cheeks flare up again, this time out of embarrassment. Hey! Sorry, Caesar, sorry. You're just so adorable. So... Oh, she was gonna say dense. Yeah, well, so are you. The line is out of my mouth before my brain has a chance to even process it. This time it's Sayori's turn to grow flustered. An endearing crimson flush appears on her cheeks as she looks away embarrassed. You can be really cute sometimes, you know that? This is deep into uncharted territory. I've really passed some kind of line. The line that you adhere to when you're just friends with someone. Well, no, if you're rubbing the back of someone's hand, then that's pretty much a green light to start, you know, using those kinds of romantic lines. And tell them that, you know, they're cute, they're adorable, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, you're beyond green light at this point. Although, do I really care? What? She flails, further demonstrating my point. Wait, are those... Sayori, what's that in your pocket? Are those gloves? She freezes, looking like a deer caught in the headlights. Oh, did she set it up? Is that what this is? Huh? No, of course not. Oh, look at the time. We're gonna be late. See you at lunchtime. She zooms off with the velocity of a bullet. Yeah, she set it up. I feel like, you know, I feel like when girls typically are trying to set up a situation like that, I feel like even a girl like Sayori would have been smart enough to leave the gloves at home. But the counterpoint to that is then where was going to be the sudden moment of realization that, oh, she didn't actually forget her gloves, but she forgot to pretend that she forgot her gloves by leaving her gloves at home. I'm left standing there in awe. That girl is so damn sneaky. Then again, it's not like I didn't benefit from her little plan, is it? Well, dude, like, this should be... I mean, okay, whatever nervousness you were experiencing about, you know, trying to get, you know, romantic with Sayori, it should be long gone at this point. You just got the ultimate proof that she is into you. She purposely tried to set up a situation where you would hold hands with her, and the evidence was right there. So, I mean, as I said, beyond green light, man. Like, you have nothing to worry about here. She'll be the death of me. With high spirits, I follow after Sayori's rapidly disappearing profile. And that was the state of the war by the summer of 1917. This dude is still talking about World War I? Come on. I mean, okay, It's been well over a month at this point that this dude has been talking about the same war. Like, you can't... I don't know. I feel like they could have... I feel like Sakurai is either an incredibly lazy teacher or just borderline obsessed with World War I, or there could have been a little bit more variety in this history class of his. As he outlines the activity we'll be doing next, my ears prick up as he mentions we'll be doing it in pairs. By the way, turn to page 394. That chapter should be the most relevant for the task. Now, if you don't mind, I'll be marking all of the homework I should have gotten back to you last week. As per usual, his light self-deprecating style earns a stammering of laughter from the class. Really? Again, I feel like that kind of joke would just get you a bunch of eye rolls in real life. Even in Asian classrooms. I mean, those of you who think, some of you in America might think that, you know, Asian classes, they're all like, everybody's super like orderly and disciplined, and even the children, they always stand when they're talking, and if they're sitting down, they're always quiet. No, not the case at all, at least not in Korea. In Korea, the kids, they pretty much act just like American kids do. The only difference is they speak Korean instead of English. Emmy and I have been working diligently, making steady progress. It's about break time, I reckon. I've been meaning to ask, how's the track stuff coming along? This season has been great! Although there aren't as many sessions going on this month. I mean, there's still some, but people always chicken out when it gets cold. No dedication. I hate seeing people give up on stuff. You and your running, huh? I gotta give you credit for that, though. I wish I had the drive for exercise. Exercise is spelt with an S, not a Z, by the way. Oh, I don't think it's a lack of drive that stops you from exercising, Caesar. They spelt it correctly here. There's a mischievous look in her eye. You're distracted. I catch Sakurai looking at us. Hastily, I turn back to my notebook and scribble something in a lazy effort to look like I'm doing work. Once his back is turned, my full attention goes back to Emmy. Distracted? By what? By who is what you should be asking. That very knowing smile is making me a little uncomfortable. How the hell would this girl know so much about what's going on between the player and Sayori? Come on, Emmy, enough with the riddles. Sayori, Caesar. I see you two having lunch together all the time. Don't you walk her home as well? I didn't know they teach you how to stalk people at the track club, Emmy. So you do walk her home then. So you do stalk me, huh? So, do you like her? Hey, I promise I won't tell anyone. Why the hell would anybody care? I mean, I feel like these days, if you're a high school student and you're in a relationship, then the two responses you're going to get from your peers are either neutral, as in, oh, okay, that's a thing, I guess, or positive, like, hey, man, good for you. I mean, who cares? And come on, the amount of times I'll let you copy my homework. Okay, I grumble under my breath. I had a feeling you'd use that to get a favor out of me. Use it against you? Caesar, of course not. It's just my way of reminding you that you can trust me. Well... Actually, no. I guess I am being a little pushy, aren't I? Sorry, I shouldn't have. It's all good. It's not that I don't want to tell you, I don't know, it's really confusing. I guess to put it simply, yeah, I do like her. Ha! I knew it. That's so cute, though. How long have you liked her? I nervously scratched the back of my head. Well, we've always been childhood friends, but over the past few years, we started drifting apart. I joined her literature club last month, and, well, since then I've just really enjoyed being around her. I guess I never really realized what my feelings were. We've been spending much more time together recently, and I sigh dreamily. You're noticing all the little quirks about her, aren't you? Ah. Yeah, things like how blue her eyes are, how warm and soft her hands feel, how cute she looks when she's concentrating. She's always been really good at making me feel at ease. Whenever she's around, I just feel really, I don't know, just happy? Oh god, all that mushy stuff must sound super embarrassing. Sorry, I know this must sound really cringy. It doesn't. It's fine, I know the feeling myself. Oh, that guy you started dating a couple of months ago? The new guy, right? That's the one! So, what was it like for you? What little things did you start to notice about him? I guess I realized how much he really thinks with his heart. He's a little dense, but I really came to appreciate how patient he can be. I'm guessing this is a reference to, because I know that this character and Sakurai and I think a few others that have shown up are from some other visual novel. I'm guessing that this is a reference to the player character of that visual novel. But that's enough about me. Sounds like exactly the same thing is going on here. When are you going to tell Sayori? Well, that's the thing. I get the feeling she probably already knows. Ah, Caesar, Emmy, everything going well? Oops, looks like I was getting so into the conversation with Emmy that I totally forgot we were in a classroom. Thankfully, we've made enough progress for Sakurai to not chide us. He studies our notes. Doing well so far, although I'd add a little bit more detail about how the United States entered and how that clashed against their priority of isolationism. After all, it was a turning point in the war, from both a military and foreign policy perspective. Noted, sir. Again, and I'm shaking my head again because this is stuff that should have been covered a long time ago. Like, this is way too long to be talking about World War I. You are gonna tell her, right? I don't know. Part of me wants to, but I'm super nervous. What if she doesn't feel the same way? She dismisses my concerns with a frown and the shake of the head. Look, I can tell that she likes you. How can you posit female intuition? I guess so, but I feel like it's just, at this point, it's just common sense. I mean, if you're walking home together every day, I feel like anybody who notices that is going to pick up on the vibe that, well, I mean, yeah, they're a couple, or if they're not a couple, they're about to be. First motherly intuition, now female intuition. No fair, women get all of the psychic powers. Well, I feel like common sense is one of these psychic powers, and I've discovered that common sense, it avoids both genders pretty heavily in the modern world. So I'm not so sure about women getting all of the psychic powers, because common sense, if you can call that a psychic power, it seems these days to avoid like 90% of men and women. Trust me, she spends so much time with you, and my gut feeling has never been wrong before. She winks at me. Strangely enough, it fills me with a bit of confidence. Okay then. I swallow. I guess I'll tell her. I just don't know how to do it. Look, it's easy. All you have to do is be honest with her. Tell her what you told me. That you really like spending time with her and that you want her to be your girlfriend. Easy. She leans back triumphantly. Easy for you to say. Oh, and never confess over text or online. Let's see. Thinking back in all the times that I've asked somebody to be my girlfriend. Let's see. The first one was a phone call. The second one was in person. Third one was text message. Fourth one was in person. Fifth one was text message. Sixth in person. Seventh in person. Eighth text message. So I mean, it can, like, text message or online can work if you do it correctly. It just depends on the situation. Well, it's Thursday today, so you gotta tell her tomorrow. Trust me, you don't want the anticipation hanging over you during the weekend. But that's so soon. Think of it this way. The sooner you tell her, the sooner you can start dating. I won't lie, that's a pretty appealing prospect. Tomorrow it is. And let me know how it goes. Managed to find your gloves this time, huh? So now you're teasing her about that. She flails around nervously. Yeah, I guess I didn't know they were in my pocket the whole time before. Okay, so now would be the time to say, well, you know, I certainly wouldn't mind if you forgot the gloves again. I mean, yesterday hand-holding was kind of fun. I wouldn't mind doing it again. Just like straightforward and to the point. Another pro tip for any guys out there that are trying to get a girl to like them, just being straightforward in those sorts of ways, in those tiny ways. Typically, women really appreciate those a lot more. Like, if you don't try to, like, beat around the bush, like, have meaningless conversations that aren't going to go anywhere, if you just tell them straightforward what you're thinking, and, you know, as long as you're not, like, you know, being disrespectful or any way, but you are being straightforward, then from my experience, women usually respond a lot more positively to that. Even the times when I have been rejected, when I was straightforward, typically they express appreciation for me being straightforward, and 9 times out of 10, the rejection is because they already have a boyfriend. So, again, another pro tip. As she pulls them on, I'm hit by a pang of disappointment. I was hoping I'd get to keep her warm and hold her hands again. Well, say that! Hang on, Sayori. My scarf has come loose. You're so silly, Caesar. Didn't your mom teach you how to properly tie a scarf? Yeah, I just never got around to actually putting it into practice. Let me help you. She stands in front of me, completely undoing the scarf and placing it around my neck. So this is so she would put her arms around you. At this distance, not only can I see her breath from the misty cloud in front of me, but I can even feel it on my face. As she works, she brushes against my neck and collar. I have to force myself not to burrow into her touch. There! With the final loop, the scarf now sits snugly, providing the warmth it should. Even after she's finished, her hands linger on my neck. Despite the fabric of her gloves, I can still feel their cold. Thank you, Sayori. Much better. You're welcome. Sakurai told us that during the war, a bunch of miners and bombs set off an explosion so loud it was heard in London, all the way from France, over 140 miles away. Dude, at this point, you should be sick of talking about World War I. If you've been on this topic for over a month and Sakurai still hasn't moved on, then, I mean, at that point, I would be long sick of talking about World War I. That must have been one big explosion. Do you think the miners did the whole cool guys don't look at explosions thing? Maybe that's where the movie directors got the idea from. I'll ask Sakurai tomorrow. Knowing him, I'll probably just get a sarcastic answer, though. I'd tell you an interesting math fact, but math isn't interesting. Well, you could probably think of some interesting math facts. Like, the golden ratio. The golden ratio, it turns out, is... I don't know what the exact ratio is, but this one specific ratio was pretty much the thing that revolutionized architecture for, I can't remember, was it the Greeks? But there was some civilization that discovered the golden ratio. And it's like, the idea behind the golden ratio is that it's something that you can keep cutting at an exact ratio over and over and over again, and you'll never reach a point where that pattern is going to be broken in any way. And it's I don't know all the details, but I do know that it did a lot for, like, advancing architecture, and it's pretty much the reason that we're able to have such massive buildings today. So, I mean, yeah, math can have some interesting things about it. Oh yeah, I'm definitely with you there. I'm not. Seriously, you can't write a poem with numbers or a story. You could. I don't think I've ever seen my parents use the quadratic formula or worked out the area of a triangle in real life. Well, yeah, that is true. Math, it can be interesting, but for the majority of people, it's not practical. Like, math is useful in a very small set of professions and situations. And there are some, you know, very specific instances where advanced math can help you in real life, but you're not going to find those situations too often. But that doesn't mean that math can't be interesting. Like, as I said, math has given us a lot of things, and knowing exactly what it was that advanced our understanding of, you know, the world we live in, or gravity, or, again, architecture. I mean, yeah, math can have some interesting things about it. Like, even if you're not particularly interested in math, you can at least appreciate it for everything that it's given us over the past 2,000 years. And my teacher tells me that math is a lifelong skill. Really? I find it pretty useful. You know, in counting up the amount of times you complain about something. Hey, you said you agreed with me. Kidding, kidding. Anyway, I'll catch you tomorrow, Sayori. Have a good one. Bye! Man, what a long day today has been. I feel like I learned more from Emi than I did Sakurai. I guess tomorrow is the day I finally ask Sayori, huh? Being totally honest, I'm kinda terrified. But then again, how much longer do I want this anticipation to loom over me? Besides, Emi is confident Sayori likes me, so it should go smoothly, right? Emphasis on should. After all, she does spend a lot of time with me. And the trick with her gloves this morning, I just hope I'm not misread of all the signs. I've not misread all of the signs. No. Nope. I mean, another thing, fellas that don't have a lot of experience, girls are never gonna be that obvious about their feelings for you. Never. If they are that obvious, then it's because you missed out on probably like 20 or 30 or 40 other subtle hints that they were giving. So now they kind of feel like they have to be that obvious in order to get you to understand. Or else tomorrow's going to be super awkward. What's up, Caesar? You're looking really glum. It's nothing, Sayori. Hey, I know something's bothering you. You can talk to me. It'll be okay. I didn't do well in the end-of-year exams. People found out and they kept laughing at me. Plus, my parents are going to be so mad. I'm an idiot. Hey, you aren't an idiot, Caesar. You're not stupid at all. But I messed up so badly. You're still really smart to me, though. You helped me with my homework so many times. And look, you tried your best, right? Yeah. That's fine then. That's all that counts. Teachers can't expect more, can they? Yeah, I suppose you're right. And those meanies, they're just jealous. Jealous? Of what? Well, you're really good at the floor is lava game. And I was just gonna say we play that now. That'll cheer you up. I know it. I don't know. Come on. You can be Spider-Man again. Oh, okay then. Let's start here. Yay! The next hour passes by in a blur. Within moments, we were already hopping around the room, zipping by from chair to chair, room to room. Ah, watch out! The lava monster is there! Aha! I'm never gonna see Mom's houseplant the same way again. Come on, Sayori, you've got this. There's a fairly big gap between the two couches, and Sayori peers over the edge, trying to see if she can make it. Even if you fail, I've got you. Okay. She jumps, soaring through the air, and lands right next to me, a triumphant grin on her face. Hey, way to go. She grins and offers her hand for a high five. Having fun? Oh, hi, Mom. You two look like you're having the time of your lives. Good to see you again, Sayori. And you. We were just playing the floor is lava game. Quite an active imagination the pair of you have, huh? Mom smiles endearingly. Joys of childhood, eh? Would either of you like some snacks? I think we have some tempura. Sayori's face brightens immediately. Ooh, that would be really nice, thank you. If that's okay. Of course, dear. How about you, son? Yeah, tempura works for me as well, Mommy. Thanks. Oh, and by the way, watch out for that tall houseplant in the other room. I've heard it's secretly a scary lava dragon in disguise. She winks as she leaves. That's a good mom. Man, it's days like these that I really wish my dad was around. I'm sure he's experienced all the nervousness associated with asking a girl out. Relax, Caesar. Relax. You're just asking your childhood best friend to be your girlfriend. No big deal, right? You know, it really isn't. It's always a big deal when you're young and like it's your first or second or third time, but, you know, eventually when you've been rejected enough times, you realize that, hey, you know, just move on to the next one. Who am I kidding? Of course it's a big deal. What did all those websites online say? Just relax, be yourself, be confident. Wow, some advice that was. I'm just banking on Emmy's intuition being correct. That one also is true. I think the first girl that I ever asked out, it was because her best friend convinced me that she likes me, and I thought, okay, she's pretty cool, so I guess I can ask her out if her best friend is that convinced that she would say yes if I did. It has gotten rather cold these days, hasn't it? We're jumping around a lot. We didn't even have, you know, a morning thing with Sayori this time. Ah, definitely. Winter is such a pain. It definitely makes waking up for tennis practice a little harder. Also, I think this is the first time, you know, well, actually, no. Well, no. We had that brief moment in the literature club before the Halloween thing. Then we had Halloween, and now we have this. So, let's see how long this literature club thing lasts. It does have its upsides, however. It really makes for the perfect weather to snuggle up indoors with a soothing hot chocolate and a nice book. And seeing all the snow softly fall during the night is really relaxing too. Although it all gets ruined the next day when people walk through it. Having end of semester exams is such a drag too. I can't help tuning out their conversation. Today has been going by so slowly. All throughout class this morning, I could barely concentrate. Monika just got highlighted even though she's not talking. I've just been... Oh, yeah, it's because of the exchanges. I get it. I've just been picturing how I imagine the conversation with Sayori going down. Safe to say that's definitely been the focus of my mind. Emmy shooting me knowing looks every so often didn't do much to staunch the whirlwind of uncertainty in my head. In the club room, we've just finished sharing poems, and I can't wait for the session to end. And people get really mushy around Christmas time as well. You know, like cuddling up together, holding hands, all that stuff. Really? I've never seen that. I mean... specifically on Christmas, maybe, but I feel like that's more of a Valentine's Day thing. Although here in Korea, it is different. Like, Christmas seems like more of a couple's holiday here than it does in America. Yuck. You say that like it's a bad thing, Natsuki. Come on. It'd be lovely to have someone to warm you up when the nights get cold. Don't you think? Is this a hint? Or just me totally misinterpreting? No way. I can see where you're both coming from, actually. On one hand, that physical intimacy must be quite nice. Although I have to admit, public displays of affection can be a bit overwhelming. Yeah, especially when couples start playing tonsil tennis with each other. What a way to put it. Monika laughs. Interesting way of putting it, Natsuki. I'm right, though. Save that stuff for when you're at home. But what about presents? That's something else that makes Christmas so enjoyable. Buying gifts for other people and seeing their reactions? That's definitely a rewarding feeling, especially when they really like your choice. Don't you think, Caesar? Don't mind me, just trying to figure out how to ask you to be my girlfriend. Oh yeah, everything's fine. You know, just trying to figure out the best way to ask you to be my girlfriend. Oh, yeah, just trying to decide what to get you guys for Christmas, that's all. Racking my brains, I desperately try to follow up what I've just said. Let's say I had to get you a present, Monika. What would you ask for? I can't buy you a piano, though, sorry. Well, that'd be telling, wouldn't it? It would ruin the mystery. Well, you're always busy with, like, a billion things going on at once, right? So, I don't know, maybe like a diary or a planner or something? Or a tennis racket? I have no idea. Those aren't bad ideas, actually. It's always difficult buying presents for someone, especially when it's someone you don't know particularly well. He's known her for like 4 months at this point. What are you talking about? You could do with a watch, Monika. A watch? Why? Well, actually, no. Caesar's known her for longer than that, because they had classes together last year. Well, you could do with the free time. One day, Sayori's jokes will get a little funnier. Weren't you talking earlier in the mod about how Sayori always has a way of making you smile and laugh? Ah, finally, the school day sure did take its sweet time. While it did drag on, I'd be lying if I said I was ready for what's about to come. Hey, Sayori. Are you, busy after school today? Nope. Well, apart from homework, but I didn't get much today. Okay, well, I nervously scratched the back of my neck. Sayori eyes me curiously. Do you think we could hang out a bit today, after school? Please don't pick up on the desperation in my voice. Sure, my place or yours? Yours sounds good. Okay. We haven't spent time together after school in a long time. What made you change your mind? Not that I'm complaining. Why am I getting a shrewd suspicion that she knows my plan and is just going along with it to watch me squirm? That's another thing that girls do. Like, again, if they've been dropping hints for a long time and you start to pick up on them and you start to act in a way that implies that you're going to ask her out, then, well, for one thing, if she's going to say yes, then she's going to accept your invitation to go wherever you're offering to take her. If she's going to say no, then she'll just say, no, sorry, I can't today, I'm busy. So the fact that she's saying yes, again, should be enough of an indicator for you to think, okay, well, you're in the money. Like, you've gotten your yes. Just, you know, take a knee, run out the clock, and there you go. Excuse me. Nothing. Oh, you don't have a Christmas tree for us to decorate, do you? It's barely mid-November, Sayori. A bit too early for that. Aww. Anyway, what did you want to do, Caesar? Again, kind of an abrupt cut there. I don't think it's healthy for a human heart to beat this fast. Well, I wanted to tell you something, Sayori. You're not even gonna hang out for a little bit? Like, you know, just sort of enjoy the moment? Get the mood going? Maybe, you know, like, watch TV with her or play games with her or something? Just straight to it, huh? In that case, you probably could have just asked her on the walk home. Okay, what's up? It's now or never. Well, I mean, okay. Maybe I'm being a little too overly critical, assuming that this is the first time that he's ever tried to ask a girl out. Then maybe, yeah, it's a little understandable why he would be this... why he would be this clumsy with this, with asking Sayori out. But the abrupt scene changes really have nothing to do with that. It's just like we seem to kind of be jumping a little bit here. Well, look, I really don't know the best way of asking this. Sayori, she's just sitting there patiently waiting for me to speak. There's a hint of anticipation lurking in those blue eyes of hers. Well, of course she knows. Taking a deep breath, I stare at the floor and let my mouth talk before my brain has a chance to catch up. Look, Sayori, I really like you, and I'm really sorry if this changes anything we have between us. I really value our friendship, and I don't want to ruin anything, so I guess it was ever since we were kids, I've always been drawn to you, and, well, seeing you again after all these years is really, really nice, and I'm so glad that we get along like the huge gap in our history was never there. I really like you, Sayori, in that way, and, well, I was just wondering if you felt like... Do you feel the same way, or I trail off into nothingness cringing at how pathetic my confession must have sounded? So much for be confident. The silence is getting a little overwhelming. Lifting my eyes off the safe haven that's the floor, I have to force myself to meet her gaze. Girls typically think it's kind of cute if you find it hard to look at them when you're asking them out, though. Maybe not, when you're my age, maybe not so much, but when you're a teenager, girls typically think it's kind of, they think it's kind of adorable. The expression on her face is hard to read. She's smiling, but at the same time, there's definitely a hint of sadness behind her eyes. And we got some new music. I should have seen this coming. I guess it really is my own fault. Uh-oh. Does she feel guilty? But she was leading him on. That can't be it. Huh? Fault? What do you mean? I was selfish. What? How? I really like you too, Caesar. I should be feeling relieved, happy even at hearing those words, yet I can't help but feel like something is terribly amiss. Yeah, there's definitely something here that doesn't make sense. I think I always have, even when we first met. She smiles warmly at me, but there are tears forming in her eyes that trickle down her face as she blinks. You've always been so nice to me, even when I didn't deserve it. Even after we drifted apart, you were still willing to talk to me and see how I was doing. You took an interest in my club, even though I didn't think you'd enjoy literature. And at first I was a little unsure. I wasn't sure if things would be like how they were when we were kids. Deep down, I was hoping they would, and over time, I guess I got my wish. Because they did. Your jokes, your personality, just by being around you, every day was a walking reminder of those times, of easier times. I don't get it, Sayori. If you like me too, and you're happy with me being around, what's the problem? She shakes her head. It's not that easy. You just don't understand. Of course I don't, Sayori. Can you blame me? I can tell there's something going on with you, but every time I try and help, you shut me down. Is it any surprise that I don't understand? That day before the festival where you wouldn't even talk to anyone. And that day you weren't in school. Something wasn't right that day. It was just a gut feeling. I've always been able to tell something was wrong, Sayori, no matter how well you hide it. I really wish you couldn't. That horrible nightmare you had, you know some of the things you were saying? You think you're useless, that you don't want to do it anymore? What were you talking about? Please, Sayori, just tell me. So she's going to reveal that she's depressed. What's so tiring? What don't you want to do anymore? Why do you think you're useless? Did someone say something nasty to you? So, again, I feel like Sayori's level of depression should not be to the point that she feels guilty that the player is confessing to her if Monika never messed with her depression in the first place. The whole reason that Sayori was suicidal in the original game and why she felt bad even after the player confessed to her was that, excuse me, was that Monika had amped up her depression that much. And even in the original game, after the player confesses to her, she acknowledges that she should feel good about this, that this should be like a dream come true for her. But because Monika had, you know, screwed with her depression to the point of being suicidal, it didn't help. So Sayori, having minor depression, she should still be happy about this. This should not be something that is bringing her down. She, you know, if the player likes her too, then that should be like a sigh of relief. Like, oh, okay, I'm not being selfish. The player likes me too. So awesome. Like, this is exactly what I wanted. I hoped that he liked me in the same way, because that's what she wanted in the original game. So I feel like maybe the mod is trying to complexify Sayori's depression to a point beyond what it was in the original game. Almost to the point that it doesn't really follow the canon very well. I swear to God, if someone's been saying stuff, tell me, and I'll go, you're right, Caesar, there is someone. I clench my fist so hard I can feel my nails digging into my palm. Well, you're overreacting, man. Who? It's me. I blinked, stupefied. That was the last response I expected to hear. You know, the way that the player was building up his rage there, just... again, bad time to mention it, but the first thing that came to my mind, like, he was implying that he was going to go, like, deck whoever it was that was saying bad stuff about Sayori. Like, what if his gut reaction was to just, like, punch Sayori because she said it was her? Like, oh, I'll show her. Again, like, I don't know why my brain went there, but just a funny thought. You? What on earth is that meant to mean? You're saying stuff to yourself? We're just going around in circles here, Sayori. Please, enough with the mysteries and the vague answers. I've been honest with you. What could this horrible dark secret be that makes you so useless and unlikable? Depression. There it is. For the second time this evening, I'm at a complete loss for words. Huh? There. That's my secret, Caesar. You're depressed? I've had depression for most of my life. Oh. Oh my god, Sayori. That was probably the most lackluster response I could have given you. I'm sorry. Don't be. I wouldn't have expected you to know how to respond. She gives a short, humorless laugh. I don't know what to say. I had no idea. I never would have known. You've always seemed so happy, cheerful, but I don't get it. I thought you were... why are there so many question marks here? But I don't get it? I thought you were so happy? Like, it kind of sounds like the player's being condescending. I don't know what to say. I don't get it. I thought you were happy. Like, this is not a vibe you want to give off. She sighs as tears leak slowly down her cheeks. No, Caesar, I never was. It was just a mask. I really tried to keep it up. Her voice wavers as she speaks. Fresh tears fall down her face, but unlike the day of her nightmare, she makes no attempt to hide them. Her secret has been laid bare. Every day. Waking up, getting ready, walking to school, all of the things that people take for granted. And it's been so scary, so difficult. I was so scared that at any moment I'd let my mask slip, and you'd see the real me. So that's what you were referring to? When you said it was tiring? That you don't want to do it anymore. She nods sadly. Those punctuation marks should have been reversed. The statement should have been, so that's what you meant, and the question should have been that you don't want to do it anymore. So the punctuation is weird, and all those other things too, like waking up and eating too. I don't have the energy to cook actual meals. So that's why you went for pizzas and other junk food? God, it's all coming together now. And the whole thing has been so bittersweet. Seeing you again, hanging out just like we used to. For the first time in what feels like such a long time, I felt something that felt alien to me. Happiness. Okay, so, again, what's the trouble here? I feel like the mod is kind of amplifying Sayori's depression beyond what it was in the original game. It wasn't much, but it was something, enough to help me through these days. Like when you warmed my hands up. I felt so bad in asking you to help, but sometimes I just couldn't help it. It's so hard fighting against what your heart wants. And as I started to like you, it terrified... it terrified me. But why? Because it was getting harder and harder to resist being selfish. Selfish? Selfish in dragging you into my mess. You shouldn't be bothering with someone like me. Well, if she felt that way, then she should have been... I feel like if we are going to assume that Sayori has, you know, had this much of a problem with depression the whole time, then I feel like she would have been a lot more evasive to the player. Like, she would have put on her happy mask, but if she felt like she shouldn't be dragging the player into her miserable life as she sees it, then she would have been a lot more evasive of the player, because she would have felt like it's her responsibility to just, like, keep them out of her, you know, her sadness. Like, to avoid them more so that, the risk of the player finding out her secret is a lot smaller. But, you know, she was very inviting. She was inviting with, you know, the poetry contest, with the Halloween event. So, I mean, no, that doesn't quite add up, I think. Part of me wondered if me being so miserable would put you off. Another sad smile. But it didn't seem like you minded. No, you really stuck around and tried your best to comfort me, even though I was horrible to you and kept you at a distance. You did not keep him at a distance. That's the point I was just making. You were incredibly inviting. And now here we are, a situation that's both what I want and fear the most. I'm worthless, Caesar. I couldn't care less about myself. I just want the others to be happy. And now I've messed that up because now you know about my depression, and knowing you, you'll definitely worry. I really couldn't win either way. I'm so sorry for dragging you into this, Caesar. I tried so hard, but with you here telling me you like me too? Her voice is a mess at this point, a whirling mess of tears and anguish. For once, I just wanted to embrace that selfishness and be your girlfriend. It's almost like another person who looks just like Sayori has been talking. Well, I mean, the proper response there would have been, hey, embrace it. If you honestly, it's not selfishness, but if you're gonna call it selfishness, then fucking embrace it. No, it is like that other person. As she spoke, I was sinking further and further into disbelief. How could it be that my happy, carefree childhood friend was harboring such a sad secret? You're definitely not selfish at all, Sayori. How could you be? You're one of the most selfless people that I know. You make it your duty to make everyone else happy. I could never not care about you. You're my best friend. And I'd do anything to make you happy again. I'm just so glad you told me this. Why? Oh, just come here. Please don't hug me. Ignoring her cries, I embrace her, holding her close to me. Well, bad move. Because, you know, if she is legitimately depressed, then if she says, please don't hug me, then you should respect that. To my surprise, though, she pulls free and pushes me away from her. Yeah, you should have respected that. I didn't even know she had this strength. I'm sorry, Caesar. I just really can't deal with this right now. Again, going back to the being overly inviting points, or not overly inviting, but to the being inviting to the point that the whole, I was keeping you away from me thing is not very believable. She let him come into her room today. So again, she is not pushing him away. Can you please leave? Leave? Sayori, look what you've just told me. Do you honestly expect me to just go like it meant, like it didn't mean anything? Well, again, bad thing to say. If she has depression, then, you know, telling her that she is doing something wrong by asking you to leave is not a good move. Yes. I stare at her incredulously. Her resolution doesn't change. And again, if she thinks she's being selfish, then why would her reaction be, yes, I insist on this? If she feels like she's being selfish, then why would she be so insistent on the player leaving when the player doesn't want to leave? Again, it doesn't quite add up. And all sorts of feelings are swirling through my head right now. I'm still trying to process what she's just told me. And even after suffering for these years, she's still this stubborn. Anger floods through my veins, probably an unreasonable reaction, but at this point I'm too emotionally charged to listen to rationality. Well, don't push it, man. Oh, so that's how it is, right? No! Bad. Bad, 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 bad. I'm allowed to tell you my problems, and you're allowed to cheer me up, but I'm not allowed to help you? What kind of friendship is this, Sayori? Oh my god, terrible thing to say. You'll never understand. Of course I won't, because you never let anyone in. God, you're just saying the worst things right now, man. Is it any surprise I don't understand? I instantly regret raising my voice in the moment the words leave my mouth. Yeah, that was a dumb move, man. Like, I don't think any sane human being would have had that kind of reaction in that moment. Just go. Uh-huh. Please. Without any choice left, I dejectedly comply. That was terrible. I feel, I don't want to knock the mod too much because I do like the mod, but I do feel like that scene could have been written a bit better. Back in my house, my mind is still racing at 10 million miles an hour. Now that the heat of the moment has passed, I ashamedly realize that I probably handled that pretty poorly. Yeah, like unbelievably poorly. And by unbelievably, I mean it is not believable how poorly the player handled that situation. Yes, it was frustrating being kept in the dark and then having such a huge bombshell dropped on me, then again being unable to help, but getting angry at her was the worst thing to do. Yes, it was. And I feel like even in that moment, any sane human being would have realized that. Man, I'm such an idiot. Ah! God damn it, Emmy, so much for female intuition, huh? Well, there's one person who hopefully should be able to help. Grabbing my phone, I hastily punch in a phone number and hope she's free. It's your mom. Caesar, hi. What's up? Mom, I told Sayori how I felt, and didn't go well? Yeah, but not for the reason you'd think. I don't really know how to put this because I'm still trying to process it myself, so I'll just lay it out. Sayori likes me too, but she couldn't bring herself to act on those feelings because she's depressed. There's a heavy silence for a beat. Depressed? I know, Sayori of all people. Oh, I see, I see. My goodness, that's awful. Poor girl, I hope she'll be alright. I really hope she will be. Oh, now you hope she will be? After you freaking berated her for acting irrationally? Granted, like, some of the things that she was saying were irrational, even beyond the point that her depression should have had her acting irrationally. But the fact that she has depression means that you don't... I mean, you don't say that to her. And you definitely don't say that in an angry tone to her. Like, there are times when you have to, like, be stern and have tough love. Like, you know, like, insisting that somebody get help. But insisting that they're the one that are in the wrong when they're dealing with, you know, a mental disorder, even if it is just minor depression, mild depression, as the canon says that Sayori has, that was still just, man. I feel like a child would have known better than to react how the player reacted there. Mom, I acted like such an idiot. What happened? Well, when she told me she was depressed, I tried to comfort her by hugging her, but she pushed me away and told me to leave, and I'm kicking myself. Go on, her tone is gentle. I got angry at her and I raised my voice. It was just so frustrating not being able to help her and I wasn't thinking straight. Oh, darling, you're not an idiot at all. I understand it must have been so frustrating. I mean, this is the player's mom, so obviously she's not going to scold him for doing something that was stupid beyond the point of believability. But it was stupid beyond the point of believability. No, shouting at her wasn't the best idea, but it's not like you set out to hurt her, is it? Well, no. It happens during arguments, don't worry. There's so many other things, too. She said she feels worthless, and she felt selfish, even in telling me what was going on. Ah, so that explains why she rejected your hug. There's a sigh on the other end. Sweetheart, this must be so difficult for both of you. It must feel so overwhelming. Believe me, I know what your situation is like. You do? Mm-hmm. I once dated someone with depression, and it wasn't easy. It was one of the hardest things to watch someone we love suffer like that. And we just don't understand it when they say such negative things about themselves. It was horrible, Mom. I didn't even feel like Sayori was talking. I just never saw it coming. I mean, I knew that something was going on with her, but I just thought having days where you're in a low mood were normal, you know? Well, from what I've gathered, she's awfully convincing at wearing that facade. If it's any consolation, I don't think anyone could have guessed that she was depressed. Either way, the worst part about depression is probably that it's just so loud and convincing. It's got a horrible tendency to dominate the thoughts of whoever's got it, and it can be really hard for them to take off the depressed tinted glasses. It's an illness, and unfortunately mental illness can be just as significant as physical ones. Something I wish this country would recognize. So what can I do for her? What can I do? Can I even do anything? You definitely can help her out. I didn't mean to make you feel like you were powerless or anything. It's okay. I'm glad you're being honest, I guess. It's just kind of hard to realize exactly what we're dealing with here, so it helped to be informed, right? You've become really mature, Caesar. No, the player has not become mature. The way that whole scene was handled before, that was not the way that a mature person would handle that situation. I do not think the player is mature at all at this point. I'm proud of how well you're handling this. I'm not handling this well at all. No, the player is not handling this well at all. Like, yes, you know, asking somebody for help, that's handling it well. So this is the first way that the problem is being handled well, but it's pretty much overshadowed by the complete freaking nuclear bomb that the player set off just a few minutes ago. I had no idea how to react. I shouted at her and she was in tears. Yes, that's the best thing to do when your best friend is looking miserable and is in tears, is shout at them. Would anyone who isn't a mental health professional, know how to deal with what you've just been told? Anyway, the most important advice I can give you is to not expect a quick fix. Depression isn't something that can be fixed with love. It isn't your job to fix her, but you can still help her. I was starting to think I was totally useless here. Of course not, darling. She loves you as well, don't forget. It won't all be doom and gloom. You'll have days where things will be normal, days where she really isn't faking her mood. But then you'll also have days where she won't have the energy to get out of bed, days where she just won't feel like talking to anyone, and it's really important that you're as patient and understanding as you can be during those days. Oh, and communication's a big one. That goes for any relationship, really. It sounds really obvious, but talk to her. Let her tell you how she sees the world and what her thoughts, feelings, and fears are. Well, the player was kind of trying to do that in the player's defense, but the problem was Sayori wouldn't talk to the player. So, I don't think saying, but talk to her is the best thing to say. I think it would be better to say, but let her talk to you when she's ready to talk to you, I think would be better advice here. There's going to be problems, there's going to be fights. Those are healthy as part of any relationship, but if something's bugging you or something's bothering her, just talk it out. Communication is the key to a successful relationship, believe me. They're kind of dragging this on, I think. I can't help but laugh. You sound like one of those relationship gurus. It's a mother's job to guide her children, you know. And as an aside, never underestimate how helpful it can be just to listen to someone's problems and worries. Just having someone listen can be so helpful, more than you could ever realize. Well, again, the problem was that the player was willing to listen to Sayori, but Sayori just was refusing to talk at all. So, again, I feel like better advice here would just be let her speak to you on it when she's ready to speak to you on it. You know, make the offer to let her speak, but don't try to force it on her. And if she says no, then just okay. We can talk about it when you're ready. Funny you mentioned that because I was going to ask if Sayori should see a therapist or a doctor. Yes, I think that'd probably be for the best. And yeah, I feel like the last 10 minutes could have been summed up in just that. Just like, you know, take it easy, be patient with her, talk to her when she's ready, she's ready to talk to you, and see if you can convince her to see a doctor or a therapist. Although things like therapy and medication won't always work for someone, it's tempting to see it as a magical fix. Just remember, it'll take time. And we're back to dragging this out again. There's so much more I want to discuss, but unfortunately you caught me at a really bad time. Oh, thank God. It's times like these in particular that I feel awful for not being around. It'd be really nice to see you, Mom. I'm really hoping that I can come visit soon. And for what it's worth, you're much stronger than you realize, and I'm very proud of you. Just remember that, okay? I'll try. Give it a day or two before you talk to her, by the way. I think she'll need a little bit of time to cool off. I'm sure that if you apologize for getting angry and rationally explaining your side of things, she'll come around. She never struck me as a girl who could hold a grudge. Emotions were running high from what I can gather, so she'll understand it. And I know it seems really bleak right now, but it'll be okay, Caesar. I just know it. I really hope so, Mom. Just remember that your support will be just as important as what a doctor or a therapist can offer her. We are really dragging this out. You've really got such a big heart. Show her how big that heart really is. I love you. Love you too, Mom, and thanks for everything. Anytime. Ring me whenever you need help, okay? Click. Wearily, I flop down onto the sofa. I know that I'm kind of like rushing through this, but I feel like I have to rush through this because the dialogue is dragging on beyond what I think is a natural level here. Feels like such a lot happened in a short space of time. I just hope Sayori and I can patch things up. That was a lot of dialogue. So let's see. We're at 56 minutes right now, so I'll go a little longer. I'm glad that we're kind of cutting out a big chunk of the mod, because from what people have told me, we're not even like halfway through like even the Sayori route right now. And just doing like 20 or 30 minutes a day, even that's taking kind of a long time, so I'm kind of trying to speed this up a little bit, hence why I'm doing an hour video today. Man, am I glad that it's Saturday today. Excuse me. There would be no chance in hell that I'd be able to concentrate if today were a school day. Her revelation keeps replaying over and over in my mind. Depression. A nasty sounding word, and in some ways quite foreign. I guess I was kind of sheltered. Prior to Sayori, I never knew any people with the condition. It was something I was of course aware of, but I never had paid any real thought to it. I mean, I knew what it was. Psychology has always been at least vaguely interesting to me, but I never really saw a real reason to look into it. And Sayori said that she's been depressed for most of her life. So I can't help but wonder, when did it all develop? What caused it? Was she bullied? Or did a close friend or family member die? It doesn't have to be it. It could be a physical thing. Like, clinical depression, from what I understand, it's because of hormonal imbalance. Or like a chemical imbalance in the brain. There's so many things I want to ask her right now, but as Mom said, it's best to give Sayori some time to cool off. I'll give it a couple of days. Besides, I've got a lot of homework to be getting on with. Well, that's Sakurai's out of the way first. Man, the end of the war really had huge effects on the world. So we're finally at the end of World War I. It's time for a break, I reckon. What to play? What to play? It really is a first world problem, I think is what they're trying to say here. To have so many games available but still not know what to play. A colorful looking title catches my eye. Man, not even the escapism from video games is doing the trick. Perhaps I should go for a walk instead. Being cooped up indoors probably isn't doing me any favors for my health. Mom used to harp on about the importance of fresh air. I stand up and stretch, wearily rubbing my neck. Yeah, some fresh air wouldn't go amiss. At this point in the day, the park is rather quiet. Wow, it got dark pretty quickly, didn't it? I'm guessing the player woke up at noon, did homework for 5 hours, played video games for a little while, and now it's evening, I guess. Not as many people come to this part of the park anyway, which is a shame because this part is arguably the prettiest thanks to the lake. Being the middle of November, there is a definite chill in the air, although I'm wrapped up warm so I can barely feel it. There's a comfortable lull in the air, especially after the overwhelming nature of last night. The silence is a perfect antidote, being therapeutic and calm. Sure, I have the house to myself, but there's no substitute for fresh, cool air. Maybe my parents were right when they kept up that healthy body, healthy mind mantra. As calm as the atmosphere is, it's not doing much for the whirlwind that's on my mind. Looking back, how could I have been so stupid? How did I miss all the signs? Am I really that dense? Thinking about it, the fairy tale poem makes so much sense now. The selflessness, the devotion to keeping others happy regardless of her own mental state. The signs were all there, struggling to wake up on time, which explains why she was so late, and the nightmare. And when she finally told me her most painful secret, how did I respond? By shouting at her and making her cry. Great friend you are, Caesar. And again, I still stand by, it is unbelievable, and by that I mean it is not believable that the player would react that way to Sayori's revelation of her depression. No wonder she didn't even want to tell me in the first place. I was so pushy, so demanding, yet when she told me, instead of being empathetic and understanding, I did the exact opposite. It wouldn't even surprise me if she doesn't want to be friends anymore. I mean, hell, I wouldn't. Would she ever forgive me? Although whether she should or should not is a whole other equation. She should not. She should not. Even when she did forgive me, what could I even do about her depression? Her self-perception seems so cemented. Would I be making things worse by getting involved, or would I be able to help her? I don't know. I don't know. Being a normal teenage guy doesn't really afford me much sensibility. I feel like even normal teenage guys would have handled that situation better than you did, bro. Even though it might sound a little melodramatic, I can't help but feel like I barely even know Sayori anymore. How much of her happiness is just a mask? It can't be all of it. Caesar? Being so lost in my thoughts, I didn't even notice Yuri's presence. Oh, hey, Yuri. I didn't see you there. I'm not bothering you, am I? You look rather deep in thought. Oh, you're fine. It would be nice to have some company, actually. She smiles shyly and takes a seat next to me. The accompanying silence is not awkward in the slightest, which surprises me. Then again, Yuri is no stranger to deep thoughts herself, and she is definitely used to being reflective and quiet. I didn't expect to see you here. Didn't expect me to come to a quiet park when it's getting dark, especially in the middle of winter, huh? Not really, no. The dark and cold combined tend to put most people off. If you don't mind me asking, what brings you here? Well, there's a lot on my mind, and I figured some fresh air would do me some good, you know? Ah, I see. Perhaps we're more alike than I first imagined. Whenever I'm troubled by something, I always find quiet period of I'm guessing it's supposed to be, I always find a quiet period of reflection in the evening can be really helpful. Something about the stillness of the night. It's much easier to think when you're in an environment such as this one. Yeah, it is, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed. It helps just to take a step back and breathe. I've actually known this park for as long as I can remember. My parents used to take Sayori and I here all the time. Countless memories throughout the years. That sounds wonderful, Caesar. To be able to share such happy times with someone as you both grow up. Although I'm curious, given how much time you two seem to spend with one another, I would have thought Sayori would be with you now. I looked down momentarily, poking at a twig with my shoe. Well, we kinda had a fight. And it's your fault! The fight was your fault! Oh, that comes as quite a surprise, given how close you two seem to be. Then again, I suppose it's inevitable that fights occur between people, no matter their dynamics. Yuri starts fiddling with her hair. Not that I'm meant to pry, but may I ask why you had a fight in the first place? I grimace as I reply. As much as I enjoy talking to Yuri and appreciate her company here, there's no way I can reveal Sayori's secret to her. It's not that I don't want to tell you, and it's nothing personal. I understand completely, Caesar. I suppose it was a rather personal question. She just told me something really private, and that horrible familiar feeling of shame bubbles up whenever I recount how I reacted to her confession. You know, it doesn't matter how many times they emphasize the fact that the player is ashamed and how they handled it, it's still not going to be believable. not the shame part, but the reaction itself is not going to be believable. I didn't take it very well, and I said some really stupid stuff. I got angry at her, and I shouted at her. I'm an awful friend. I lean forward, burying my face in my hands. There's an awkward, heavy silence for a few moments. Caesar? I know that I haven't known you for as long as Sayori has, but please believe me when I say you're not an awful friend. I don't know what was said between you two, but everyone says things they don't mean during arguments, especially when tensions are running high. That's something my parents once told me, and it really is true. If you take my argument with Natsuki back in September, in the heat of the moment I said some rather hurtful things. However, I didn't actually mean them, and I'm fairly confident that Natsuki feels the same way too. Please don't be too hard on yourself. I can tell that Sayori means a lot to you, and you're ever so patient and kind with her. If I may be so bold to say, perhaps you don't realize it, but you do a lot for her. Little things such as walking to school with her in the mornings and walking her home in the afternoons. But most importantly, whenever she's feeling sad, you really take it upon yourself to find out what's wrong so you can comfort her. We can all see that your care and consideration for her shines like a beacon. Yeah, that's all well and good. That's all well and good and all. But I still hurt her really badly. Friends always hurt each other, Caesar. It's just an unfortunate reality of being human. From what I can gather, she isn't someone who can hold a grudge. So whatever issue is between you guys, I'm confident you'll be able to sort it out. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound presumptuous or anything. You've not been presumptuous in the slightest, Yuri. Your insight has been really refreshing. It's the same insight that your mom gave you, man. This is stuff that you should already have in your mind. So, again, we're kind of dragging this out a little bit. Just, his mom says it, and he says, thanks, you've been helpful. Then he forgets it. Then Yuri says the same thing, thanks, you've been helpful. Is he going to forget it again? I still feel bad, but you've made me realize that perhaps things aren't as bleak as they seem. So thank you, seriously, it means a lot. You're a really good friend. Thank you, Caesar. I'm glad I was able to help. I can't help but grin. Yuri's shyness has always been endearing, especially as it clashes against her intelligent, mature outlook oh so much. Anyway, I could ask you the same question. What brings you here? It's okay. You don't have to disclose anything. I won't pry. But just know that if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here. And so are the other girls, okay? I remember how horrible those people during the festival recital were to you, and I'd hate to think that you were suffering in silence or anything like that. Caesar, you truly are too kind. I very much appreciate your words, and I'm very glad that Sayori told you about our club. I know I said it back in September, but honestly, I'll say it again. I'm just grateful you guys accepted me with open arms. You didn't judge me because I wasn't a poet, nor did you ever laugh at how bad my poems were. I know they weren't particularly to your taste, but you still gave me good advice and feedback. Well, I believe that everyone should be included. No one deserves to be an outcast, irrespective of their hobbies, interests, or their writing ability. I just wish others would be as accepting and inclusive of those with interests that go outside the norm. She's nervously picking at her sleeves, almost pulling them up over her hands. Well, for what it's worth, I think your interest in horror and taste in literature and poetry is pretty cool, Yuri. It makes for a nice change of discussion and gives you interesting stuff to talk about. Like when you discussed Frankenstein's monster with me at lunchtime. I never really gave it much thought, but after you had that talk with me, it helped me realize that we shouldn't just take stuff at face value. Oh, and your poems are awesome. I hope that one day I'll be able to write to your level. That really means a lot. I'm glad you have such an open mind, Caesar. In this day and age, to find a mind so free of prejudice and misconception, it's truly a breath of fresh air. Thank you. Anyway, I don't mean to cut our discussion... Whoops! Sorry, I accidentally hit the spacebar. I don't mean to cut short our discussion. I think that should be cut our discussion short, but unfortunately I have a lot of homework to be getting on with. Oh, did it again. Yeah, me too. Procrastination can only get you so far, huh? Catch you later, Yuri. Hope everything gets better. And you, Caesar. With a wave, we both depart. Okay. So, now we're moving on to the next day, and we are approaching an hour and 10 minutes at this point, so I think that this is a pretty good stopping point here. So, I'm assuming there's going to be another flashback. Oh, nope. Alright. It's an alarm clock. So, we're going to stop at the alarm clock, and we're going to call that an episode. So, a lot of progress made in this video, guys. I think we're digging more into the nitty-gritty of the mod, and... the story's kind of going in the direction that I expected it to go, and which would be okay. Like, just the problem I'm running into with the mod right now is that some of the scenes, they seem unnecessarily dragged out. And plus, as I said, the whole thing with the player reacting the way that he did with Sayori revealing her depression, it was just not very believable, and it also seemed to come out of nowhere, and it felt a bit forced. I feel like if... during all of those times that Sayori had been brushing off the player, if they had emphasized more that the player was getting more and more frustrated with Sayori just brushing off this secret, then the reveal would have been a little less surprising, and the whole anger thing probably would have been a little bit more believable. But it just seemed to come out of left field. And that's why, just the sudden anger that the player had towards Sayori revealing her depression, like, also concerning after the fact that she revealed that it was depression. I mean, Sayori did let the player in. The frustration was that she wasn't letting him in, and the player said that he's angry and frustrated because she never lets him in. Well, she did let him in. She said, okay, this is it. I'm depressed. That's the secret. Now you know. I told you. But... he got angry as if she still hadn't told him what was wrong yet. So, again, the scene was just not very believable, and it, I still say that this is a good mod, and I can tell that a lot of effort went into this, but that's just, that's a pretty major plot hole with me. Or, not a plot hole, but it's a pretty majorly forced plot point, I will say. But other than that, The mod's still enjoyable, and if not just like a little long, it looks like, again, with the dragged out scenes that you could probably cut the dialogue in half and probably have it be even more effective. But regardless, those are my thoughts on what we saw in the last hour, and you guys can feel free to agree or disagree, but those are just my thoughts. And we will continue this hopefully in the near future. As far as the excuse me, I'm tongue-tied. As far as the meta series episode goes, as I said, I am working on it, but I just want to make sure that it's up to par with the standard I usually try to meet with the meta series. I don't want to just like rush an episode out, and creatively speaking, I just haven't been at my best lately, and I don't want to release it if it's an episode that I'm not going to be proud of. So just give it a little bit of time, because I'm sure that eventually I'll be able to make it as good as I want it to be, but it's just going to take me a little bit of time. But regardless, thank you guys for your patience, and thank you for watching this video. Also, if you're watching this soon after the video comes out, then tomorrow, which tomorrow for me, it's going to be July 25th at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to be doing another Red Dead 2 live stream, and we're going to be doing Red Dead Online and going through all of the campaign missions, like the story missions for Red Dead Online. And I'm doing the live stream an hour earlier than usual, because I know that a lot of my fans that tune in for the live streams are in like Europe and the UK, and it can be pretty late in those places at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm hoping that by doing the live stream an hour earlier, that it'll be easier for you guys to tune in. But anyway, that's all I have to say, and I hope to see you guys at the live stream, and I will see y'all in the next video. Until then, I'm Cesar Madrazo, and I am out.